hello. Welcome back, nerds. Thank you guys for coming back and checking out the podcast again, even after the first episode. We appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. As you can see, we got some upgrades.
Oh, we are upgraded. We have completed the level 1 podcaster tutorial. And we got our level 1 armor on on the display here, as you can see. So, we kidded.
Yeah, we're getting stuff done slowly but surely.
Basically, we're professionals now. Let's just lay it out there, as you can see. So before we get started today, I do want to say this episode is brought to you by absolutely nobody. Ryan and I are still working our regular ass jobs, so can you guys please like, comment, and subscribe?
Not sponsored yet, but if you have any family owned businesses or anything that needs a shout out to our 170 viewers, we are more than likely to be able to help them out with that.
And we will take any sponsorship, like literally anything. So think about it. So anyway, today we're gonna get into some rabbit holes, okay, boys and girls. So if you are what we refer to as a normie, then you're gonna have to buckle up, Buttercup, because there's gonna be some things that you might not understand. We're gonna do our best to explain it to you and break it down. But we are trying to keep this just an hour, so we'll see how that goes.
Hey, we got this is going to be a spicy episode. There's a lot of cool stuff we're going to cover. This is going to be like a synopsis of the two major Avenger films that are going to come out this phase. So we're going to kind of go over the stuff of like what's going on in those movies, what to kind of expect, and then how we think that they're going to transpire. There's a lot to unpack. There's a lot of stuff through the comics and through like the story was done twice. So in different years. So it'll be interesting to see which story they actually go with and how they actually pull it all together, because there is a lot of characters they have to introduce. There's a lot of storylines that they have to start building. So this will be a good one. We're going to get into some fun stuff.
Yeah, that's right. So I think one of the things that even for avid comic book readers, that's a little bit contentious, is Kang the Conqueror, and the current state of the MCU and the current kind of the direction that the MCU is going. Kang is like the centerpiece to all of that. Now, we're not really going to get into too much of what his legal situation is right now and how that might implicate into the movies, right?
Fingers crossed it doesn't, because Jonathan Majors, did an awesome job portraying Kang and Ant-Man.
He's great, and just even if worst case scenario, if it was canceled, like anybody can get recast. So
anybody, we've seen it multiple times.
So anyway, so who is Kang, right? So that's kind of the first piece to the puzzle that I just want to go over briefly. Kang is like this time traveling conqueror of different dimensions. He's got his hands in so many things. If you're an X-Men fan and the villain of the X-Men, the Apocalypse, he goes as far back as the X-Men villain Apocalypse. And I hope you're not thinking of that trash ass version of Apocalypse from the movies, and you actually are thinking about like the cartoon or something. So Kang is a huge presence in the comics. He's a huge presence in the movies. And what's his main motivation? He wants to conquer every timeline. He wants to dominate. Yeah, he wants to dominate every timeline. He's pretty brutal in the comics, and he's not like a brawler, right? Like he uses his technology and his smarts to kind of defeat the Avengers, defeat whoever he's facing. He's not one of those. He's like the opposite of Thanos. If you guys remember Thanos beating the shit out of the Incredible Hulk.
That's kind of like, so basically, like So what he said, he's not a fighter, but like when we did our poll this past week, I was very disappointed with a lot of people. Thanos in a toe-to-toe fight with Kang, sure, Thanos is going to be stronger as an attribute of his strength. But when it comes down to it, in my opinion, and I think a lot of people would agree, is that Kang he's one of the smartest people in MCU. So his intellect and his like war strategies, everything like that, like it's like question to maybe 2 or 3 other people in the MCU, and he's everywhere. So Thanos is a one-dimensional being. Kang is in every single timeline. Like that's how strong he is. Kang has in the comics, he has an actual trophy room with every single Marvel hero dead. Like he's killed them. Like he's killed a version of them. He has
Yeah.
their Captain America shield. He has Iron Man suit. He has
Hmm.
Doctor. Like he has everything. Villains too. Like he just goes in and his whole thing is legacy. All he wants to do is have a legacy that shows that he did what he want. Like he's kind of like in a way Thanos, where they think what they're doing is making the world a better place. Like they're going and they're making things more perfect, but in reality it's a power trip. They're doing it because they can, and that they can force their will onto other planets, other timelines, everything. And Kang is that strong. His technology is second to none. I think he's from like the 40th century originally, and he started time traveling back and forth, and he has the ability, like his suit is super strong. So his suit makes him strong. So
Hmm.
he
Yeah,
can
so
go
he's
toe to toe with
actually
people with a suit.
descendant of Nathan Richards,
Mm-hmm.
and he's from the 31st century. And
Oh,
he
31st.
originally,
Okay.
what he, yeah, 31st, and what he actually he does is he he time travels back to ancient Egypt, and that's Rama Tut. That you see in Quantum Mania, and I'll let Harry summarize Quantum Mania a little bit here in a second, but
Mm-hmm.
when we start moving forward in the timeline from where we're at. But he time travels back, becomes Rama Tut. That's where he meets Apocalypse, and he uses Apocalypse as an agent of kind of destruction for himself to
Mm-hmm.
kind of help him conquer that timeline. That's where again he meets Ravana, who they've changed the origin for Ravana in uh what was the show again? Loki. They changed her
Loki, yeah.
origin in Loki. She's part of the TVA in Loki, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they that's his main love interest, and he actually does a lot of the things that he does because of her. He loses her, and obviously when the love interest goes out the window, usually people start going ham.
Yeah.
But so that's where it all starts, really, is back with that. I believe they show it pretty well in Quantum Mania too. If you've seen that movie,
Mm-hmm.
you've kind of seen that aspect of it. But let's dive into kind of where we're at with Quantum Mania kind of kicking off this phase. So why don't you hit us with that fat summary, dog?
Okay. So Quantum Mania is the newest film for the MCU as of right now. Basically what they did is they used this film to introduce Kang the Conqueror into the MCU, who's essentially going to be the lead villain for the next 2 Avengers movies. The movie, there's things that I like about it and there's things that I don't like about it. And Sean would agree with me on this, is that it's very hard what the MCU does when they try and do a standalone movie and they try to introduce a villain like this. How they portray the villain in that movie kind of represents how they're going to be as the next couple of movies play out. Just like what we said last episode, is like when you have a hero that goes up against a villain, you show what their power levels are, because if they're fighting hand in hand, like stuff like that, it transpires, because then it becomes what nerds call canon, which means in that world, that's a reality now. That is a known fact when it's
Yeah, that's
canon.
part of the
It's
world. It's
part of
like
the world
science to
now.
us. It's
Right. It's a
like
fact now. That's what we
two plus
have to
two is
go
four
on
is
to be able to
canon.
compare. Yes. So long story short, Scott Lang, Ant-Man, has to go back in time back into the quantum realm because they were getting signals from his daughter that created a radio to be able to communicate through. They started getting responses back, and then basically they were going and messing with the technology. They all get sucked into the quantum realm, and they all get dispersed in different times in the quantum realm. So some people, like, I think they end up actually in the same actual realm, but they're in different areas in that realm. So it's the same realm that King the Conqueror is actually in, the same realm that Wasp's mother was in originally when she was trapped there. And they go
Yeah,
through
and
the
how
whole
did Kang get
story.
there, Harry? Why was he even there in the first place?
So he actually got stuck there and banished by the other Kang. So it's pretty cool because as they go through it, they start to show at the end. They show like all the Kangs and what happened. Basically, he got banished there, and his ship, which is what he uses to time travel, is sabotaged. He's stuck in this quantum realm, and that's when the mom first meets him, and they have this whole story. And then she has like a whole life down there where she's fighting with like a rebellion against him because he starts building technology, because that's what Kang does. Kang is so smart and so strategic that even when he's stuck in this world, he's already building technology to further advance him in this area. And then this technology that he's building is like, it's otherworldly because it's from thousands of years in the future, essentially, or hundreds of years in the future, where we don't have that technology yet, so we don't know, but he has that knowledge and he's using it to his advantage. And that's what he does in the quantum realm. So when we get there, Kang's basically the king of this quantum realm, and he's pushing to try and get out of the quantum realm. So he's doing everything he can to build this technology to be able to use his ship again, basically building a giant, I think it's I forgot what they call it, like a power core, or the time, I forgot what the actual
I can't
energy
remember
that
the
it is.
name is, but it's like it's something. It's a MacGuffin of the movie
Yeah,
to
yeah,
get him out of the
it's
quantum
to
realm.
get him out of the quantum realm. And at this time, they start to realize how strong he is. And then Scott Lang, Wasp, and then his daughter, they start to plot their way to stop him from getting all of this, because he has an army down here. He has a whole army and ships and artillery, everything to basically go into our world and start his conquest, which is Earth. Earth is what's on his mind. Earth is the flavor of the month, and that's what he wants to do. And Scott Lang, Wasp, and his daughter are all trying to stop. And this is where we have this, and how this is where the issues with the movie start. Kang, when he's introduced, awesome. The actor did an awesome job. Jonathan Majors did an awesome job where he was cold, he was precise, he was very to the point. He knew what he wanted to do. He's a high intellect, so he doesn't really care for any games, but he also was strong enough to, like, when they had him in the jail cell, like Kang was showing how strong he is, and like how he maneuvers everybody and pits people against each other to get what he wants. Like he did the same thing with the other Kangs, and that's how he kind of got put in this situation. But the biggest issue is the power spike of Ant-Man and Wasp and Hank Pym in this movie is when Kang at the end, spoiler alerts if you haven't seen it, Kang is starting to fight them, and like they all fly in, and he's like, "Which one are you? Are you?" I forgot. He said, "Are you the one with the shield? Or are you the one with the hammer?" Basically alluding to, like, I've killed your Avengers multiple times in different timelines. I lost count of what you guys actually are, who you are, what your identities are, stuff like that.
Yeah, he said when Ant-Man says I'm an Avenger, he goes, "Oh, have I killed you before?"
Yeah.
I thought that was like great, like comic accurate
Absolutely.
um Pang right there.
Yeah, alluding to just how strong he is. But the problem with this now, this is where the issue is when we talk about power levels, is that they basically made it so he was um out, like he was so overwhelmed so quickly by like the ant swarm and stuff, which, mind you, like
Yeah,
the suit that he had, like when he flies down, like, so this is kind of Kang's thing. Kang always tries to stay outside of the battle because he has minions, he has people to do his his duties for him, so he doesn't really have to do it. But when he does fly in, like he's still super strong. Like his technology is super strong. The abilities his suit has is super strong. Like he has his suit gives him strength, speed, agility. He's able to shoot. He's able to shoot quantum rays out and stuff like that. But the issue is that when they were fighting each other, like Scott Lang was able to pin him up against the wall. Like they made him kind of way weaker than what he actually is, and that's kind of where the issue of the movie starts to lie. Like when they started to do their fist to fist fight, and then they were fighting over to get back into out of the quantum realm, and it was just like the gate for just Scott Lang and him to go, and then he crushes the energy drive, and they show Kang like disappear. That's kind of where it leaves us, and we don't know technically where Kang is, or if they kind of try to make it alluded to that he's dead, but there's no way that he is, because he's Kang the Conqueror. So he is the villain that all the Kangs at the end of the movie, that they have like this big tribunal of Kangs, and they're all like, oh, well, we think this Kang is dead. We have to now we can do our own thing, because
they're
that's
all
how
trying to
strong this
prevent
Kang
that
is.
Kang from
Right.
coming back. And the problem is when you're dealing with somebody like Kang that is a time traveling being, like this timeline where you killed this Kang, that doesn't mean he's dead, because technically like he can be in the future, like knowing that's going to happen and come back through the timeline the same way. So like, to put it very simply, the same way the Avengers got, their shit split by Thanos, and then in Endgame used time travel to go back in time and
to stop it.
fix everything. Kang is doing the same thing. The difference is Kang can do it like at will. Like Kang can, he doesn't have to like work for it, and he doesn't have any of the morals that the Avengers might have about time traveling and like messing up another timeline. And quite frankly, he wants to dominate all the timelines. So,
which makes him so formidable.
Yeah, for sure. And I think I agree with like, just my thoughts on the movie as a whole. I think it had some good setup. Like it didn't do anything to like make it so the future of the phase that we're in, or even the phase after that, is going to suffer from this movie, because I didn't think the movie was very good, but I think that it set up the rest of the phase to be very good if they do the right stuff.
I think my biggest issue with it, and kind of what we alluded to last week with the end game, is that they painted Thanos in such a light where he was the end all be all, and he was so strong. All the heroes did everything they could to fight him. They couldn't until the end. The issue that I have with this is that you have the future villain of the next two Marvel Avengers movies, two, not one, two Avengers movies, and he's a villain. So the only other person that had that was Thanos. Thanos was the only other villain that was in two movies. That was the main villain. So they kind of, I feel like they kind of like made him look very weak in this film. I'm not the biggest fan of it. I know that they're going to counteract it by saying that like he knew that this was going to happen, and he probably used all of this, everything that happened in that film, he used to escape. That's probably what it's going to be. Like he knew exactly what was going to happen, and he had to make sure that things fell into place so that he could escape, because he knows what the future is. Essentially, that's why he's so hard to beat and so formidable. Is that everyone knows he knows what's going to happen. He's a strategic genius. He knows what's going on, and he's going to make sure things happen the way they're supposed to in his favor. So that's the only way I can see it happening. I don't like the fact that they made him look weak. Like I don't like that Scott Lang, who I like Ant-Man. I love Paul Rudd. I don't like that him and Kang went toe to toe in a fist fight scene,
and he doesn't get his ass beat.
And Kang doesn't beat it, because you have to remember too, this Kang has lived 1,000 lives essentially. So he's been in a couple fights, if you know what I mean. Scott Lang hasn't really been in that many fights that you've seen. He's been in some fights, but he's not like battle tested. Kang is battle tested. He's called Kang the Conqueror for a reason. He's a scary dude. He got banished by all the other Kangs that are him. Like they looked at him, they said, "This dude is so bad. We need to lock him in his own prison so that he can never get out." That's how
Yeah, and
bad
we're
he
talking
was.
about fucking Ant-Man, okay? We're talking
Yeah,
like, let's be real here. Like, we all love Paul Rudd. It's fucking Ant-Man. He gets tongue-tied when he's in the presence of Captain
yeah,
America.
yeah.
Um, he theoretically speaking, Kang should be whooping his ass.
He should have been
No,
able to destroy him. It shouldn't have been a competition, which
yeah.
makes
So
me
I think
wonder why
I
they
think that's
did
a
that.
fuck up. Yeah, I
Yeah,
think that's a fuck up on
I
their
think
part.
that's a big. I think that's a big like because now people are gonna be scratching their heads like if you don't know like if you don't know how strong he is and you've never like even some of the stuff we touched like we haven't even touched base on like the actual Kang's like how strong he is and stuff that he's gonna do. But it kind of makes you like if you don't know like you scratch your head like this is supposed to be the new villain like Thor can punch him in the face and he's dead like if Scott Lang can punch him in the
Yeah.
face Thor or Hulk can punch him in the face and he dies. That's kind of the issue that I have. And of course, they destroyed Modak, which is just
Oh God, I don't even want to
awful,
talk
awful.
about
Like
Modoc.
that rendition was terrible. I did not
The
like
fucking
that.
George Lopez
The
meme, dude.
CGI was so bad on Modak on that. Like they would have been fine if they never lift the mask. Before they lift the mask, he looked cool. Like when he went and like he went through that town and like destroyed the town or whatever, it looked cool. Looked like a power hunter, a machine to kill. Then they lifted the mask. It was just
Oh my
stupid.
God, it was so
So
dumb. It
bad.
was so
CGI
dumb.
was terrible. But
Yeah.
anyways, not to get off track, this movie did a lot for the Avengers movies and the timeline that's coming because they were able to introduce Kang. They kind of gave you some of his backstory. That kind of showed you, alluded to at the beginning, how strong he is and how dangerous he is. And even the mom of the Wasp was like, he's so dangerous he cannot leave because she knew firsthand. And then at the end, when the after scene credits with the Kangs, you see actually the Kang that was the Egyptian Kang. You see him. You see like three other versions of him, but there's a whole stadium filled of these Kangs,
Yeah.
and
It's the
they
Council
get
of
the
Kang.
notice. Yeah, they get the notice that they think Kang the Conqueror is dead, so now it's their time to change what they want in the timeline. But there's no way he's dead. There's no because he is the villain. So there's no way he's dead. Something happened. I don't know what it is. I don't know how they're gonna spin it, but that is where we're at in the MCU right now. You have Kang that's out there. You have the Council of the Kangs that are out there, and this is where shit's gonna hit the fan, for lack of better terms, because now it's gonna get really real because Kang when he gets out of the quantum realm, which I'm assuming he did. I'm assuming in Loki, maybe they kind of like touch base on it where he is for the new show season. I don't know how they're gonna do it, but he's going to be out, and that's how Kang Dynasty Avengers, the first Avengers movie of this phase, is gonna happen. It's gonna be Kang's out. And he's going to show up and he's going to wreak havoc immediately. And that's going to be the opening scenes 100%.
Yeah, I think my main problem, just to backtrack just a second too, was like introducing Kang. Like, let's look at and compare how they introduced Thanos and how they introduced Kang. The first time we ever see Kang is in Loki, and female Loki kills him very easily.
Yes.
And when we see Thanos for the first time, it's like a post-credit scene, technically, but it's like he's flying on this giant space rock, and like everybody's like terrified of him.
Yeah, bowing down to him.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nobody even wants to fucking say this guy's name.
Isn't the first time you actually see him too? Like when you see him like actually in that chair, isn't that
Yeah,
Guardians
he's
of the
on the throne.
Galaxy
Ooh,
with Ronan? I'm pretty sure like when Ronan goes to and gets summoned to him, like you see his full body for the first time. Like he turns the chair around because that's when he's looking for the Power Stone. And that's when you first find out that the Infinity Stones are a thing, was in the Guardians of the Galaxy. And then they show him sitting there like, don't test me, boy. Like basically saying that he'll
and I
destroy
can't
you.
remember what that post-credit scene, which one it was. I cannot
Not
remember.
sure.
Anyway, He's just a lot more menacing. They did a lot better of a job of
Scary.
building that
Yes.
kind of tension. Like, oh, this guy could actually, be a problem. Like Loki, the first like major villain of the Avengers movies, is terrified of this guy.
Yes.
He's like, yeah, no, we can't fuck with Thanos. Don't do that. Bad idea.
Yeah, he's petrified to fail because
On
Thanos
Earth
basically
in the
told
first.
him.
He's like, if you
Thanos
don't
basically
if you
told him, "I'll
don't
kill
take
you."
care of Earth, I'm gonna fucking have your ass.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Loki was like, say less. I'm gonna go and invade Earth, even though my brother's there. Fuck it.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but anyway, yeah. So that's where we're at. That's the current state of the MCU. Hate it or love it. I'm kind of in the middle right now. I'm kind of waiting to see where it's gonna go. And that'll lead us to our next section here. And these are some little rabbit holes we can go down. Okay.
I love me some rabbit holes. I can ramble on, so get me started.
We're going tunneling, brother. We're going tunneling, brother. All right. So Harry and I are both gonna, in case that wasn't obvious, we're gonna go over where we think the story is going, and kind of summarize what we'd like to see and where we think it's going. So Harry, why don't you say what your theory is first?
Okay, so do you want me to go into like where I think like for what King Dynasty is gonna be, or do you want like how do you want me to do it? Because I can go over King Dynasty first and then say what I think. Because if I tell them what I think is gonna happen, I feel like it's gonna kind of ruin, like they won't know what I'm talking about.
Just do it in a way that makes most sense to you.
Okay, so I think in this Avengers movie, Kang, like I said, Kang's alive and well. Something happened when he got transported somewhere. I think that when he like put his hand on the machine and got sucked into that power force, I think that it brought him somewhere else. I think that he's going to do the same thing there that he did in the quantum realm, which is build an empire essentially, and he's going to escape. And I think you're going to see that over the next course of movies. Like that's what the end credit scenes are going to be alluding to, like where he's been, what's happening, like, oh shit, he's out. And for Kang Dynasty, I think the majority of it is going to be a carbon copy. I would like it to be a carbon copy of the comic where comes to Earth, says his bit, like I'm challenging you guys, like I'm coming here for this, I want it, and then he's gonna fight the Avengers. But once again, Kang is so smart and strong from the sense of it's not going to be him fighting, it's going to be a horde of overwhelming different sections of villains that are going to come and help, because that's what Kang is. Kang manipulates people to do his biddings. And I think that's exactly what's going to happen for the first movie. I think that the Avengers are going to be very overwhelmed. I think the heroes are going to be very overwhelmed. And I think that this will be the second Avengers movie where it gives you a cliffhanger of hopelessness like what Endgame was. I think they're going to make it so Kang the Conqueror, you understand his name and you understand who he is. And I think the heroes are going to be in a very fragile state leading into Secret Wars.
Okay. I'm going to be kind of long-winded here because I think I'm going to have to explain a lot. So I disagree. I think it's going to go way differently. I think that, in essence, for anybody that's listening to this and knows anything about the comics, so let's look at the next two movies' names. You have the Kang Dynasty, right? Avengers Kang Dynasty. And then the next movie after that, they've titled Secret Wars, right?
Yes. Oh, sorry, waiting for me.
Yeah, that wasn't rhetorical. Yeah, no. So it's Secret Wars. So you got Avengers Kang Dynasty, Avengers Secret Wars. So I think the road ahead has to go like almost exactly what they did with Hickman's Avengers. So in 2015, they redid, for the comics at least, in 2015, they redid Secret Wars comic book. Initially, that story is released in like 1986 or 1985, something like that.
Yeah, I think King Dynasty was like 85, and I think Secret Wars was 86.
Something like that. We're not that nerdy, but pretty nerdy, pretty close.
There's so many comic books. If you
So
knew how many versions there were.
But it's the classic one where black suit Spidey is on the front cover and he's like this. He's doing this thing. Like that, right? So it's a classic story, and they redid it in 2015 and kind of tied it together with a bunch of other stuff. The Fantastic Four plays a huge role in this story. Black Panther plays a huge role in this story. So that's going to be an issue going forward if they do try to adapt this storyline. But you know, the MCU doesn't always take the exact comic book story and adapt it 100%, right? So I think there's ways they could get around doing it. So I'll get into now what the story is about for anybody that hasn't actually read the comics or listened to it on YouTube or anything like that. So basically, in Hickman's Avengers, it's a multiverse type movie, and I think this is why they're kind of building so much multiverse stuff right now, because they've damaged the timelines and kind of broken those barriers so much that there's so many timelines now that could get merged. There's so many things that could go wrong, and we kind of saw that in No Way Home with all the that glass effect in the sky breaking, and like there's probably 1,000 like new Rockstar videos on like them breaking down like the characters that they saw coming through those cracks and like screenshotting it and cropping it in and stuff like that. So it felt like to me they were really trying to show like, okay, like people are coming in from other dimensions. Obviously the Spider-Man came in from other timelines. They made it canon where it was like there's different Earths, like Earth 616, which is like our main, like in the comic books, Earth 616 is like the mainline Earth, and they all have their different designations. But in this story, what happens is that there's all these incursions where like other Earths from other timelines or dimensions merge into ours, and they start to crash into ours, and it makes it so that both Earths are not going to be able to exist at once at the same time. So groups like the Avengers and the Illuminati start taking it, you know, into their hands to try to prevent these, what they're calling them, incursions. And they've used this word incursions in the movies already. They used it in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness when he goes to the planet that's like all fucked up.
It's like all blowing up and stuff, like everything's like breaking as you're walking through it.
Yeah, it looks like current day Ukraine. It's it's they use the word incursions there. So that's why that was another kind of like hint to me that they're going to go down this route. But anyway, so at first it's like the Avengers, right? And like Captain America plays a big part in this. He's the leader of the Avengers. And they're like, okay, you know, we're going to have to blow up this other Earth to make sure it doesn't hit us and blow us up, right? Because, you know, we can't both die, right? Captain America's like, you know, he's a Boy Scout. He's like, absolutely not. We're not blowing up another Earth. There's people on that Earth. We're not doing this. There's got to be another way. Well, they tried a whole bunch of different ways. They went and actually collected like all the Infinity Stones, made another Infinity Gauntlet, and tried to use the Infinity Gauntlet to get this other Earth back to its own timeline. And it's a really dope scene in the comics where Captain America wears the gauntlet, and it takes like all of his energy to get this Earth away. And if I'm remembering correctly, it doesn't even work, and they end up having to blow the Earth up anyway, the other Earth. So Doctor Strange and Black Panther and Namor, they're all part of the Illuminati group that got introduced in Multiverse of Madness as well, from the other group. Reed Richards is in it. And what they do is they put a spell on Captain America and just make him forget everything. He has no idea he's part of the group anymore. And they're like, all right, boys, we're gonna be blowing up, blowing up some other Earths, brother. So what they do is they create Reed Richards. He's like a genius, right? So he creates this little device, and it basically tells them when there's an incursion about to happen. And they have, I think it's like 4 or 8 hours to blow up the other Earth. So they've been doing this, and eventually, throughout the story, they fail. They make this what they call a multiversal life raft, and it's like Noah's Ark. Like the timeline's about to collapse. Like existence as we know it is about to be destroyed, and they get in this multiversal life raft, and it's the Fantastic Four, Miles Morales, Peter Parker, I can't remember who else is on it. Black Panther is on it. And basically what happens is the collapse is imminent. The Fantastic Four is all dead, except for Reed Richards. He's the only one that lives. The door flies off of this freaking raft, and his whole family gets sucked out. And he's like, it's Black Panther's life raft. Black Panther is the one that makes it with the Wakanda technology. And Reed Richards is like, yo, can I open up the door and save my family? And Black Panther's like, nah, dog. They're gonna have to stay out there, homie.
It is what it is.
Sorry, bro. Single life, you know what I'm saying? So he doesn't let him open up the door. So his family's essentially dead. So what happens after the collapse? Well, it's like they open up their eyes and they step outside of the life raft, and they're on this thing called Battle World. And basically, essentially, what Battle World is, it's like an amalgamation of like a bunch of different lands and like tectonic plates. And the creator in this instance in the comic book is Doctor Doom. Doctor Doom is the one that creates this world for them, and he rules this world with an iron fist. So what I think is going to happen is I think they're going to go down that route, but instead of Doctor Doom being the one that is like the ruler or the one that creates this new realm, it's going to be Kang. Or alternatively, they could be faking us out with Kang. Like they're telling us Kang is ultimately the big bad, but as you know, Doctor Doom is like genius level intellect as well. Maybe Doctor Doom fights Kang with the Fantastic Four when they bring them in, or helps us fight Kang, and he finds a way to steal his technology or steal some of his power,
right,
and uses some of that at the end of the multiverse, basically, to create this battle world. So I think that's where it's going to end up. I'm not going to go I could tell you guys this whole story like verbatim. We'd be here all night, but essentially what ends up happening is it culminates in this big epic battle between Black Panther with the Infinity Gauntlet and Doctor Doom. What they in that comic they call him God King Doom, because he's essentially a god. He has the powers of the Beyonder, which we'll get into that.
I'll touch base on mine for that one.
Yeah, Ryan fucking loves the Beyonder. So he has the powers of the Beyonder, and it's important to note though he doesn't actually have the full powers of the Beyonder, because that guy's like omnipotent. Like if he had the full powers, the Infinity Gauntlet wouldn't matter at all. He's getting a partial, he's getting a share of the power through a guy named the Molecule Man, who I'm sure Ryan is going to want to talk about too, because he likes him as well. Yeah, so it's important to notice that. And then, so they fight, and then essentially what happens is they fight to a standstill, and Reed Richards comes in, and basically Reed Richards is pissed because in this story, in the new reality that Doctor Doom created in this comic, he actually makes Sue Storm his wife, and Reed Richards' kids are his kids. So he essentially steals Reed Richards' life in this comic, and Reed Richards gets here and he's like, "Bruh, really? You're just stealing my life?"
It's very
So
funny.
basically, he wins this fight. Reed Richards wins this fight essentially, and I encourage everybody to go read this comic at the end, because the last fight between them two is fucking hilarious. He basically wins this fight by talking so much shit. He just triggers Doctor Doom into
Yeah.
losing.
Yeah.
And it's the fucking funniest thing in the world. He's like, "Do you really think you're better than me?" And Reed Richards is like, "Yeah, I'm 100% better than you." And he's like, "Fuck, you're right." And then Molecule Man hears him. He's like, "Well, if you both agree that he's better, I guess I'll give him all the
Then he needs
power."
the
And
powers. Yeah.
this shit kills me.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's where I think it's going. Just replace Doctor Doom with Kang. I think it's the easiest story to adapt. And granted, I said I wasn't going to touch on, the actor for Kang getting canceled or whatever. And I hope he doesn't. Innocent until proven guilty. I don't know any of the facts or anything, just purely speculation. But if he does get canceled and they can't use him in the movies anymore, it'd be a fantastic time to bring in a really good actor to play Doctor Doom and have him kind of take over that role of, the main villain.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm not opposed to that one. I like was 2015 when they redid it. Um, I do like that story, but I like the original one more so. Just because I like how it takes all of the characters that you know it now and kind of close to what the characters that we actually have in the MCU now, I feel like fit the script for this better. But like, so for example, like Kang Dynasty, basically the whole Kang Dynasty comic is, and I can make this very quick. Kang comes to Earth, declares Earth. The first thing that he does when he comes, like literally the first thing that he does, he's on a spaceship, he flies in, it's like this giant sword, and he shoots this giant beam of energy at the UN. So in the comics, like the UN is like the speakers for Earth, essentially. Like they're like the council of everyone, and they decide what happens on Earth. He destroys this building that everyone's in. All the Avengers, they see or they hear this happen or whatever. Everyone comes to the scene. They're going through all the rubble and everything, and they're like, "Oh, you're gonna pay for this. You killed all these people." And then Kang shows, "Relax, I didn't kill anybody." And he shows, like, he lifts all the rubble, and it's all the members that were in the building. They're all like in these like force fields of energy, and they're all okay. And he just used it as like, "I'm just showing you the type of power that I have." Like, it was just like a big flex. Like, I basically killed them but didn't kill them, and you guys are all here because of me. And he declares war right then and there. Like, I'm going to conquer this place. It's gonna happen. Um, and they're like, well, whatever or whatever. Like, no, you're not. Like what Avengers would do. So he zaps away, and then he starts his crusade, and he starts sending hordes of different enemies. Like, one of the big things that they have for the majority of the comic, it's called the guy's called the Presence, and he's one of the villains that Kang has got on his side. And in the comics, they like have like these like radioactive like green ghosts essentially, and they just are flying all over the place, like wreaking havoc. Just the Avengers are busy trying to mitigate this situation. While this is going on, another villain comes in, and it's just like a horde of aliens that are just attacking. This isn't enough for the Avengers. Like, they're still able to fight it off. They're still able to do what they can. And then this is when Kang steps in. After that, Kang steps in, and he's like, "Okay, enough games. I'm stepping in." And he has what is called the Sentinels. Now, Sentinels is
I love
something,
this.
if you've seen any of the X-Men, like, they kind of touch based on it in the Apocalypse movie for X-Men, which isn't canon.
Well, they did Days of Future Past, remember?
Days of Future Past, that's what it is. They did Days
Yep.
of Future Past, which technically isn't canon, but that has Hugh Jackman in it as Wolverine. But
It's actually a
Sentinels,
good movie, though. I just
it's
want to
that
add
one's
that.
actually not that bad. I would agree. Out of all the X-Men, I think that the third one and that one, like X-Men 3 Last Stand, and that one is actually pretty good. But they
Yeah.
show the Sentinels, and what a Sentinel does. It's created from technology. They're made from vibranium and different metals and adamantium. And what they do is they're anti-powers. So if you have powers and you try and use it on a Sentinel will absorb that power or learn that power and use it against you. And anything that they learn or have and absorb, they have forever. So if they will come across a super strong mutant or super strong villain or someone with super like crazy abilities, they absorb them and they're able to either react to
they
them
all
or
know it afterwards.
yeah, and like it's a unified mind. But they're these giant robots and they're able to fight superpowers. Anything with superpowers, it was originally made to fight off mutants. Like the government made them because mutants were becoming an issue, but Kang was able to create them from his technology, which he made them better. He improved them. He's flying them all over the planet, like just taking whatever he wants, taking time to time, killing hero or not killing heroes, but some of them do die. But he's taking them out one by one, one by one, one by one. Finally, he overwhelms all the heroes. They're all in their last leg. They can't fight anymore. And then what happens is he's the first villain in not MCU history, but comic book history for Marvel to actually defeat and take over the Earth from the Avengers. And they actually sign Earth over to Kang for mercy. Like, you're the ruler of Earth. You're the ruler. Mercy, please don't do anything more.
That's the only villain to ever have that happen to.
Yeah, he's the only one to do it by force. There's other villains have done it, like Doctor Doom has done it but he did it through manipulation. There's like there's other villains that have done it, but never by sheer force of just overwhelming power where they couldn't do anything. They had to give up or else everyone was going to die. There's nothing they could do. He was the first one in comic book history to do it. After that, he has this issue, like they go back and forth. He finally like anything in comic books, the heroes always come out on top. So eventually they dethrone him, they lock him up, and Captain America gets into a fist fight with him, and Captain America goes toe to toe with him in the suit, which is kind of, once again, kind of weird, but this is all from the comic books that he's able to do it. He punches him in the face and knocks off his helmet, breaks his helmet completely, so his suit is no longer has any power to it, and he wins. Man gets locked up. He's happy. Man's happy. He has his legacy. He thinks that he's conquered everything for his lifetime. He's ready to live his life in prison. He has like this whole monologue at the end of it, and then his son Marcus, who has the same technology, breaks in, takes him out of prison. Kang is so weird when it comes to legacy. He's pissed. He feels betrayed. He feels like Marcus broke the natural order. He wanted his legacy to be over. He felt like he conquered everything, but now he knows that because he's out, he can't just turn over belly up. So basically he was tired and he was ready to be done, but because his son broke him out, he doesn't have a choice but to continue. And he actually kills his son, like stabs him in the stomach and kills him because he was that upset that Marcus stepped on his legacy like that. And that's how weird of like a person he is. Like all he cares about is his name being in shining lights as a superstar. I did it, Kang the Conqueror. They'll know me forever. But instead, now he's Kang the Conqueror that gets saved by his son, and that's kind of where Kang Dynasty basically ends. Now
how
Kang's
close
back
do you
in
think the
universe.
movie is going to be that?
I think
the movie will even follow that?
I hope that they do at least the opening scene. I hope that the way that they open up Kang Dynasty is Kang is out. He has this big, like, when I mean like this ship is iconic, like it's a giant, like a sword, like a medieval sword. That's what it looks like, his ship. And in the comic book, it's one of the coolest comic book covers. Kang is like, he's like sitting there with the sword, which is a ship, and he is like huge, and he has it stabbed through Earth, and it's like Earth has this just giant ship sword through it. So I hope that they use that ship.
Damocles, right?
Yeah. So I hope that they use
on.
that ship as the opening scene for Kang, because I really want Kang the Dynasty to kind of be like Infinity War, where the big bad villain in the opening scene rips away all hope. Yeah,
that's what it looks like.
so you can even look up the comic book cover of Kang Dynasty, and it's literally him stabbing his sword through the planet. It's so cool. Right, yeah, look at that. How cool is that? That's his ship. That's what his ship looks like in the comic, and he's stabbing it through the planet.
That's a sick cover.
Yeah,
and I think what's cool too is like, you know, and there's reasons for this in the comic, but we won't get super crazy about it. You know, there's kind of a subtle, you know, compare and contrast to this guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
yeah.
I think you can see the similarities there, and the reason for that is because it's not confirmed in Marvel Comics. They haven't confirmed it right now, and I don't know that they ever will confirm that. So Kang in the comics is a descendant of Reed Richards, they say. But also in the comics, they say he also might be a descendant of Doctor Doom, and they won't say. And if you look in the comics, this is why Kang will never kill Doctor Doom, and he will never kill Reed Richards, because he doesn't know for sure if killing one of them will make him not exist.
Will make him not exist. Yeah.
So until they confirm that, it won't happen. So yeah, that, I mean, I wouldn't be mad at either of our little nerd pet theories here coming true. I'd be fine with both of them.
Yeah,
and I think mine
really
too is kind of like not specific to like how one movie would go down. I think I kind of laid out my theory more of like, you know, how the next few movies are going to go and what the story beats they need to hit to make those things come true.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of groundwork that has to happen in order, because, like I said, I like the two older stories. Like that was just Kang Dynasty. I like the 1985 and 1986 versions of it. Like Secret Wars is completely different story than the 2015 one, because after Kang is out, Kang is kind of like out, like they don't really have anything else with him, like he's just out there. So like that's Kang's thing, is that he's just always there no matter what happens, no matter what villain comes next. Kang is like one of those heroes where it's like, or villains where it's like, oh, I'm back, like I'm stronger than ever, because he's infinite. Thanos says he's inevitable. Kang is actually inevitable because there's so many of him. It doesn't matter what you do. He's always going to be there. Even if you defeat him, it's not over. Like there's something else.
He comes back because he's, like we mentioned earlier, Kang's just like 5 steps ahead at all times. And I think he's going to be a great villain. I think kind of also looking at, you know, the future of the MCU, there's a bunch, I mean, so many characters that need to get introduced. I think you and I have both a little bit of a list of like who we want to get introduced versus like people that are needed, like required to be introduced. So I was thinking maybe we go over like our wish list of who we want to go over.
Yeah, I mean, I would say so. Like for in order for the 1985 or 1986 Secret Wars to come to fruition, they would have to do so. They have in that Secret Wars basically. Heroes get zapped to a ship, villains get zapped to a ship, opening of the comic. And all the heroes are on a ship, all the villains are on a different ship. They all see all the planets get destroyed. Now there's only one planet left. And what it is the Beyonders, basically, like, which is a giant, they're a group of beings that are beyond celestials. Like
they're outside of our known time and space. Like they're not part of our multiverse.
We can't comprehend, right? We can't comprehend them. Even the comic books are like, you can't comprehend what these beings are. They're so strong, but basically they're gods of gods, and they make an announcement basically to both the villains and both the heroes that slay your enemies and all your desires will come to you. And both of them were like, okay, what's going on? So essentially, the first thing that they do is the villains try and one of the big villains, which is Galactus, tries to attack the Beyonders. Beyond Galactus is very, very, very strong. He gets swiped away like a fly. Cool, you're
like a
done.
gnat.
Like nothing, and then boom, now a war kind of starts to happen between the heroes and the villains. They're going back and forth, back and forth. There's a lot going on, and in order for this one to happen, there's a lot of characters that need to be introduced, and the characters on my list include this. So I think that's how Secret Wars is going to start. I think Beyonders are going to be a very big part of it. I
So they'll
think in
have to
order
introduce that.
they'll
They'll have
definitely.
to introduce them.
I think that's how. I think that's how they start the movie. I think the movie. I think it would be very cool if they did the same thing they did in the comic, where they like it's just a normal day, like blue, like kind of like you remember how in Infinity War when they had like everyone walking around in Central Park and like they're just like boom, yeah, like everything's cool, and then they got invaded. I kind of would like to see them do something like that where they just everyone's cool, boom, everything changes. They're all teleported to a different place. Everyone has no idea what's going on. There's confusion. No one has anything, like no one has any idea. Then you just hear a voice, like a voice that's inside everyone's head, and it's telepathically being said like this is what's happening. You guys either have to kill each
You
other.
think they're
There's all
keeping this look?
no, they're definitely not keeping that look.
I kind of fuck with the '80s disco.
Yeah, it's
You
kind of
know,
cool.
fucking this dude looks
The
like
big
he's
shoulder
rolling up to the.
pads.
This dude looks like he's rolling up to the family barbecue, getting ready to fuck everybody's mom.
Yes, he does. With those shoulder pads, he's going to be able to too. You can't deny this.
Absolutely.
Uh, but I think that they have to. I think that would be a cool way to start that. And in order for them to do that, they'd have to introduce a bunch of characters, and one of them.
Give me your wish list. You know what I mean? Like who? Like not necessarily everybody that needs to be introduced, but like
The
who do you
characters
want
I'd
to
like to
see the most?
see the most would be Galactus, Doctor Doom, Beyonder, and I would say Molecule Man.
Molecule Man.
Those would be the big guys that I would think that I would like to see. Honestly, I would be very happy if they just gave me Doctor Doom. If they give me Doctor Doom, which I don't see how they can't, so I really don't see how it's not a wish, like it's not a wish list. It's just a matter of how they're going to roll him out in the storyline, because he is a very big part of all of it. I mean, he is Secret Wars at the end of it. Like he is the villain at the end of Secret Wars. Like he turns into the
Look
main
at this
villain.
guy.
Yeah, I don't know what that's medieval Doctor Doom.
No, that looks like Dr. Diabetes, bitch. Like that doesn't.
That does.
What the fuck? Dr. Doom doesn't got titties. What's going on over here? The fuck?
So honestly, if they gave me just Doctor Doom, which I believe they are, and they give me a good role and they do him right and they make him scary, they could make him the villain for the next couple of Avengers movies too, because he has a big role to play for these two movies.
Yeah, I agree. I think I'm gonna name off some people that or some characters rather that aren't necessarily essential to the story moving forward, but like just some people I really want to see in the MCU going forward. And I think the first one is the X-Men.
Oh yeah.
I am like just the X-Men period. Like I am such a massive X-Men fan. Like this I'm going to show you something right now that just gets me very happy. You know what I'm saying? It gets me very happy. Like this 90s X-Men vibe here. Like
it's a great TV show.
When they reintroduce X-Men 97, granted that it is an absolute trash on Disney Plus, I am 100% watching that.
Oh yeah,
it's on Disney Plus right now. And if you were not alive yet, because you are so young that you were not able to watch this on Fox Kids when you were a child, you need to every Saturday, I want you to open up Disney Plus. I want you to pop this bad boy on. I want you to get you a nice big old bowl of some Cinnamon Toast Crunch. I want you to fucking watch this cartoon, and it's going to change your life. You will have yourself an amazing day.
Yeah, and the Spider-Man one too. Spider-Man's a great show too from the 90s.
Oh my god, the Spider-Man one. Oh, watch them back to back. Do an episode of X-Men 97.
Yeah.
Do an episode of Spider-Man, the animated series, and Cinnamon Toast Crunch and or Fruity Pebbles.
Literally where all the memes come from is from that 90s Spider-Man. All those memes that you see of like Spider-Man, of like him pointing to each other and everything, all of those are all from the 90s Spider-Man show. It's awesome.
Yeah. Those are so good.
The 90s shows in general, like all the shows that they did for the most part, like all the cartoons were all
Batman the
pretty
animated
well made.
series. Fantastic. Yeah. I have it on 4K Blu-ray. I'm not kidding. I went to Best Buy and I saw it one day and I was like,
that's awesome.
Why not?
I'm actually really excited to see how they introduce X-Men. I mean, I think the way that they're going to do it is through the Deadpool movie. That's how they're going to do it.
Yeah,
because Deadpool's going to have mutants, and he already has had them, and now technically they're canon because they adopted Deadpool. So he's now part of the MCU. So everything that happens in the Deadpool movies are canon. So that actually makes all the mutants that are from First Class Order and everything, all of those, because when they have like that cameo of them, all the mutants in the room closing the door in the middle of, I think it was Deadpool.
Yeah, it was the post-credit scene or whatever.
Yeah, they like closed it. Like, why is this place always so empty? It's like Fox couldn't afford to have any more heroes in here. Like that's what Ryan Reynolds says as Deadpool. Yeah. But they show the door, so all those characters are technically now canon. So that's probably what they'll do. That's probably how they introduce it. They'll probably introduce it in this new movie.
Could be very, very easily. Couple more I'm just going to rattle off really quick. In addition to the Fantastic Four, obviously, which the Fantastic Four are essential. X-Men, not necessarily essential, but I just want to see them so bad. The Fantastic Four, absolutely essential. We already know they're coming, so
yeah.
That kind of is what it is. Ghost Rider, I know, is one that we both want.
Ghost Rider.
I'm not even gonna be mad if they bring back Nick Cage. I love Nick Cage.
I actually like Nick Cage as that role. I would not be mad.
He's an absolute psychopath of an actor.
He looks like he has a skull. Like his face looks like a skull. Like his eyes are sunken in as if it's a skull.
Yeah, he's an absolute mad lad.
Yes.
And another one that I really would like to see done correctly. We have gotten this person already, but they really fucked him up, and you can see here. This is an aborted fetus. Like, I don't understand why they did this. This, on the other hand, this is Apocalypse in ancient Egypt. This is his name, Ensabanur. This is the agent of Kang, and Apocalypse isn't necessarily, he doesn't need to be here, but man, he really adds some world building to the Kang storyline, and if they build that relationship between the two of them, and if you know anything about Apocalypse, I mean, we're probably already at an hour here. So I won't go like into his backstory all the way, but he's just such a freaking badass, and his whole deal is just like survival of the fittest. Like evolution takes precedence over everything, and he's just such a badass. I would just be so happy if they introduced him.
Yeah, he's like Voldemort of the mutants. Like he's like a purist. Like he only wants mutants to be. He thinks that they're like the lead of the world. Like all he cares about is evolution of power and them becoming the best versions of themselves.
Exactly. And then kind of the last one that I wanted to honorable mention, who I really would like to be introduced, even though he's not necessary to the story that I think is about to take place, is Mephisto. I think once we get back into the world of Agatha Harkness and Wanda, and that kind of the witch thing. I think they might actually bring Mephisto in that way. I would love to see him in. He's a whisperer. He's like a worm tongue from Lord of the Rings. If you know what I mean.
He's a scheme, but he's also very, 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 very strong.
He's very powerful. But it would be sick to see him in the MCU.
He's one of the few characters in the MCU where he doesn't have an original origin. It's unknown, and they leave it that way. Where they basically say that he plays as the devil for Earth. He plays as the devil for Earth, but it's been known that he's obviously a lot more than that, and what he does is all he wants to do is create havoc, and all he wants to do is be behind everything. Like, he's the person, which I wouldn't be surprised if they do introduce him, like he's behind everything, because he's one of those characters where he whispers, he whispers into people's ears, he gets them to go do things that they're not, that he wants them to do in order to help benefit chaos. And that's where chaos magic comes from. Like, he is like WandaVision, like Wanda, her powers are all from chaos, which is from Mephisto. Like, Mephisto is chaos, and if he's introduced, it's endless on what they could say that he is responsible for. Like, they could say that he was responsible for Thanos and putting him on his warpath, because in the comics he is responsible for putting Thanos on a warpath, and he could be responsible. He's the one that took Wanda's kids away, because Wanda's kids and all the things that she made in WandaVision and that TV show, that was actually part of a comic as well. And he took all that away from her, all of that, because it was his magic and his power that created it. And he's a super powerful person. I would really like to see him. I just don't know how, like, they've already alluded to that he exists with the whole WandaVision show. Like, when they showed her reading the book and everything, and the kids were whispering to her, like when after they were dead, and she was like in the cabin in that closing scene, like she was reading through the book, like astral projecting, and she heard her kids laughing. That's Mephisto taunting her to release him into the world and release him so that he can start to create more havoc, because until he's released into the world, he's just a being that's whispering between dimensions, essentially. So he's one of those characters that could change all the MCU. Like, he's that strong. So I would love to see Mephisto. He's really cool.
I just I would love to see him. Just I'm not saying that I need a whole freaking phase devoted to him like they're doing with Kang or whatever.
I would love it.
It would just be sick to have him be a player in the upcoming events somehow, some way, right? But anyway, I think we both kind of share a thought here that Doctor Doom, one way or another, has to play a pretty large role in the upcoming phase, and his portrayal has been a little contentious in the past, because the last time he was portrayed on the big screen, the movie was, well, it was dog shit. And the actor that played him wasn't necessarily very good. So, thinking in an ideal world, like, I'm in control of casting Doctor Doom. Like, who do I want to be cast as Doctor Doom? Who do you want to be cast as Doctor Doom? You're in control right now.
I would say, like,
you're fucking Kevin Feige, and he's like, hey,
Dr.
Harry,
Doom,
you can pick.
Doctor Doom is one of those characters where he's like he's a top 5 threat in the MCU as far as to the Avengers and stuff like that. Like, he's that strong. I would put him up there. Maybe not top 5, but he's fringe top 5. And
I would say top 5. I'd be fine with that.
He has to be, because he's voted, like, in the MCU, or not MCU, in the comics, he's top 3 as far as intelligence goes. He is he in the comics. It's like, what I hate about the movie that you brought up is that the way that they made him in that movie is not what he is. Like they just made him like he got his powers from this electrical storm from space, and he just controls electric matter. Like he is just all electricity. That's not what Doctor Doom is. Doctor Doom is a sorcerer. Like he is a very, very, very powerful sorcerer. Think of Doctor Strange. If Doctor Strange was like amplified by the sun, like that is how strong he is. He is
fucking
super smart.
Gandalf of
He's
fucking
super.
the
Yes.
MCU or
Yes,
Marvel.
he's super smart. He controls all kinds of abilities, and he actually at one point in the comics becomes the Sorcerer Supreme and overthrows everybody because he's that strong. And Doctor Strange has a battle within himself about he knows things that I don't, and things that have been like magic that's been dead for centuries, but for some reason he knows it because he's just that intelligent. Like he is a scheme. He like Kang is smart. Doctor Doom is smarter because Doctor Doom outsmarts Kang on multiple events, and he outsmarts some of the strongest and most powerful villains and people in the MCU complete. Like he outsmarts the Beyonder, which is
there's very few people on the planet that are smarter than Doctor Doom. Valeria
in the
Richard,
universe, in the multiverse,
in the universe, in the known universe. Valeria Richards, who's Reed Richards' daughter from the Fantastic Four. I don't know that we'll get them in the MCU at any point. But that'd be pretty sick if they brought them in. But anyway, she is always notated in like the comics as one of the only people that's smarter than Doctor Doom, or has more intellectual prowess. And man, what story was it? There was a story in the comics where Doctor Doom literally goes to her for advice. She's like a 13-year-old girl, and he's like, "Bruh, what do I do?" And she gives him advice. So it was actually a pretty cool scene in comics. But, so who are you picking? Who are you picking?
Okay, sorry, I got on a tangent. I just had to explain.
I know
like,
you got
what
a
he
fucking
is.
boner for Doctor Doom just now.
Like I had to explain what he is so that you have to understand. Like he has to be super like intimidating.
There's some criteria the actor has to meet.
Yeah, he has to be intimidating. He has to be smart, and he has to look like he's looking at you like you're like you're not even close to me. Like I am so beyond you.
It can't be like a meathead though. Like you can't get like, even though Dwayne Johnson's like intimidating looking, like he looks like he is fucking retarded. Like
he has to be smart. He has to be like you look at him and it looks like he's 10 steps ahead of you. Like he looks like he's already scheming. And if I was to pick someone right now, I would say that this would be who I would like. I've seen a couple, and this is the one that I like the most right now. This is he plays on The Boys. So Billy Butcher, he plays in The Boys. He has that look where it's just like I'm coming for you, and I'm gonna kill you, and I'm smarter than you, and I'm powerful. Like he just has that look. I like the facial hair. I really like the way that he looks. I think that he'd be awesome in like a cool Doom costume. I'm looking at something like this. I want Doom to be scary. I want him to be intimidating, and I want it to be just you look at him and you're like that guy's gonna fuck some people up, and that's what Doom does because he's that strong. So I would really like it to be somewhere along those lines. Like I want him to look at me and I'm just like, I don't know what's happening, but I think I'm dead or I'm about to die.
That's not a bad pick at all. Billy, first of all, The Boys will have to do
great show. Yeah, I'm down to do a podcast on that because that show's awesome.
We'll have to. We'll have to do a podcast on The Boys. That show's sick. And that's actually one, you know what, that I don't know anything about the comics. I have not read any of the comics.
I've never read. They're newer. They're newer. I haven't read. I watched the show, and the show was actually done fairly well.
Yeah, I like the show a lot. Actually,
the writing was good.
Caught up on it. Anyway, we're getting off topic. We were talking about this earlier, and we were kind of just going over like some people that would even be good fits, and we came across this guy. Let me pull him up here. He's in what's that movie? The Nazi movies and
Glorious Bastards.
Inglorious Bastards. Christoph Waltz. This dude was so good at playing a Nazi. There's no shot that he wouldn't be a good Doctor Doom. Like if you can be a Nazi, I think you could be Doctor Doom. And we just got demonetized immediately for the amount of times I said the word Nazi.
Yeah, you can't say that.
Yeah, that's actually illegal. But anyway, I think this guy would be really good. Like he looks smart. He doesn't look like he's brain dead. And through his monologues in all of the movies that I've seen him in, like Inglourious Bastards, he comes off very intimidating.
Yes.
That would be my pick, I think.
I like him a lot. I like him a lot. Like because he's like the other side. Like the side that I like from Billy Butcher, or the guy, like the actor that plays Billy Butcher. He's like strong, intimidating. Like he looks rugged. This is the opposite, but this shows more of the comic book side of him, which is super intellect, super like he's gonna outsmart you. He's going to be ahead of you, and like you said, the monologues. Like I would love to see Doctor Doom have some big speeches of like the heroes are on their knees, and he's just like, I tried to warn you. This is what happens when you don't obey. Like he would be a great speech giver for some of those intense scenes. He would be awesome.
Yeah, for sure. The dialogue heavy moments he would definitely shine in. And then an honorable mention, I think we both kind of like
Luke Evans
this guy
too. Yes.
This dude is a good villain character.
Yes.
And he's a good actor. I really liked him. I've liked him in every movie I've seen him in, actually. I don't think he's in the Hobbit movies, actually, and I actually enjoyed him a lot in those. He's not necessarily
I like him. I think he's and he's tied into Disney because of Beauty and the Beast.
That's true. I forgot he plays the Beast. I forgot about him playing the Beast, actually.
No, doesn't he play Gaston? He'd be a good one.
What's that?
Doesn't he play Gaston or Gaston or whatever, however you say his name? I'm pretty sure he plays.
He does play Gaston.
Yeah,
he does.
Regardless, he's tied into Disney, so he's already worked for them before. So that's even more of a kind of a plus, because I feel like he has a more of a chance to get in. Maybe, I don't know. I just hope that whoever they choose, they don't take this role lightly, because I mean, there's one thing that the MCU does good, and they cast fairly well. Like there's been few casts that they've made where I was just like, I don't see it. The majority of the casts that they make and the names that they get are usually pretty good. And this last one with Jonathan Majors is just to show you, like, he is perfect for this character.
I don't think there's a lot of bad.
There's not a lot of characters I would change.
No,
not a lot of characters I would change. Like just the fact that they got Benedict Cumberbatch, is that his name, or Benedict?
Benedict Cucumber Snatch.
What the guy that plays Doctor Strange? The fact that they
Benedict Cumberbatch,
is that his name? The fact that they got him.
I didn't make that.
The fact that they got him to do that after, like, because you have to understand something too. If you watch movies or some of the movies that he did before, a lot of them were like serious roles. Like he was like one of those actors that was going for like films. Like he was going for like trying to get like not Grammys. What's
awards?
Oscar is what it is. Yeah. Oscar. He's a
really good actor.
Stuff like that. And then for them to get him to come and do a superhero movie like this, because before, I mean, at this time, I guess superhero movies are kind of getting a little bit more popular. But before, a lot of actors didn't want to do these superhero movies because they're just like, oh, they're just kind of gimmicky. But now it's kind of become like its own genre. But for them to get him was an insane pick. Like, I mean, that was a great actor. I mean, I couldn't think of a better Doctor Strange, honestly. Like they picked a perfect role for that. So I will give Disney that. I'll give Disney the fact that they cast fairly well for the MCU. So I hope that they do Doom justice. That'd be
Doom is a big one to get right. If you're gonna get one villain right, It's this one. And some of the villains I think have not been cast great. Like some of the movies haven't had like the best villains. Like Obadiah Stane, even though Jeff
Yeah.
Bridges in the first Iron Man, um, you know, he did a good job. I just thought, I was like, that's the Big Lebowski.
Yeah.
That's someone
I mean,
pissed on his carpet, man.
I liked him. I'm
I
a
liked
sucker
him
for
too.
that.
It was
I'm
just
a
hard to
sucker for that
see.
movie, but I see where you're coming from. Actually the villain, one of the villains I like the most that was played the best was Christian Bale in the new
Oh, he
Thor.
was the only good part of that movie.
He was so good, and they ruined that character. They ruined him, and he's so strong too. And I don't understand why they. That's my problem with MCU is like they'll get like a really good character, they won't give him enough backstory, they
And
won't
then
give
kill him.
him. They won't give him the power that he deserves or the rightful time that he deserves inside the universe. And then just for the sake to build or to put out a movie, they kill a villain that should not die. Like Gore
The
should not
MCU
be
has
dead.
always had that. The MCU
Yeah,
has
that's
always
the
had that
biggest. That's my
problem.
biggest gripe with them about their standalone movies is that they take villains out and they find a way to kill them off to where they can't reuse that villain. Like they can't,
Man.
which is kind of stupid. But whatever. I mean, I'm not the one that produces the movies and makes millions of dollars. So what do I know? But
Well,
I
obviously, you
that
know
does
more.
that does
You're one half of the Nerdcast podcast,
yeah.
Ryan.
I
So
mean, I am a co-owner of a very very prestigious podcast, so that is true.
yeah. So
Um,
I mean, Kevin Feige can suck it.
Yeah, Kevin Feige, you're not wrong. Lately, he kind of can.
He can
But
right now. Right now, he can absolutely suck it, and so
yes,
can Walt Disney.
I
Fuck
agree.
the both of them.
Yeah, they're kind of ruining a lot of things right now. I'm not too happy about it. Anyways, I would love to see that for Doctor Doom. I just wanted to put out some to mention some heroes that have been introduced into the MCU that have no backstory. We have no idea what they're going to do with these characters, and all of these characters are going to lead into this new phase. So all of these characters, there's a reason why they introduced them, because they're going to be a serious part of Kang Dynasty, of Secret Wars, and I'm not quite sure what they're going to do with them because there are a bunch of random heroes for the most part.
Yeah.
The first one that I have is Clea from Doctor Strange. She was at the end. She was at the cutscene of Doctor Strange 2. She was the sorceress that came in. Basically, that's what she is. She's a sorceress. She's from the same realm that Dormammu is, which is the Dark Realm, and her and Doctor Strange go she slices a void through time, and they go in, and that's how it kind of ends. Her.
Yeah.
So
She
I'm not quite sure.
She kind of a baddie.
She's kind of bad in that. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not quite sure what they're gonna do. I'm assuming that they're gonna use both of them because they're both sorcerers. So I'm assuming it's gonna be Doctor Strange, Clea, and Wanda. It's gonna be up to them to stop Doctor Doom in Secret Wars. I think that's how it's gonna be because they're all magic. So it's gonna be like a sorcerer battle. That's what my take is. I don't know. I don't know why they would introduce this character if that's not why. Because she's kind of like there's other characters they could have used besides her, in my opinion, if they're gonna have like serious roles. But if they're using it as like a sorcerer battle, I'm all for that. I'm all for all this like the cosmic sorcerers to go at it. I think that would be kind of cool because they also have Agnetha in it as well. So not quite
Dude, I was
what
just
they're doing with these.
tripping just now too. Like I'm listening to you and I'm looking at her face and I go,
Mm-hmm.
bruh, that's the chick from Ant-Man. That's the mom.
Oh, it kind of looks like a younger version of her. It kind of does.
It's not. I just had to do a Google search because I was literally tripping over that.
It kind of does. I'm not gonna. I didn't even think
there's
about
no
that.
way they let this chick play two people in the same timeline.
It's pretty funny. So we have her. Then we have at the end of the Eternals, you had Star Fox and Pip that was played by Harry Styles, and this is another weird one. You have him, which is basically he's the brother of Thanos. He's from Titan, and he's very strong. Um, but I don't know where it's gonna play in. Like I don't know how they're gonna do this. I don't know what his deal is. I don't know why they chose to introduce this character over others, because like we've said before, we really like X-Men. We'd rather see some more of those characters become a part of it. Not sure what they're gonna do with him. I'm assuming they're putting in some of these powerful characters to help, because I think that they're either going to make Kang very strong or they're going to make Doom very strong, and they need some power to kind of counteract those levels. That's what I hope they do. I'd be okay with that. If these characters are just existing just for cameos, just for some of these actors to get cameos in superhero movies, I will be very upset because I don't know why Harry Styles is in it. I'm all for Harry Styles. Harry Styles cool, but he better actually have a role to play if that's what they're doing. Like,
I'm not gonna lie to you, Pip the Troll is a fucking thug.
Yeah, Pip the Troll is pretty cool, and he created Pip the Troll. Like, he created his own buddy. Like, that's his traveling partner, and they just go around. Star Fox created
Yeah,
him, and they're just
he's a
boys.
thug.
They
He's
drink
over here
beer and they
smoking on that
travel the
SCOBY.
cosmos. Yeah. So next up we have Black Knight, who is also in Eternals, and he's at the end of the movie as well, and he's played by Kit Harington from Game of Thrones. So a knight in there and a knight in the MCU, and he carries the ebony blade, which is an enchanted blade, like that black blade that they showed at the end of him, like the blade was talking to him and it was like moving in the box. It's an enchanted blade. It was enchanted by Merlin. It goes through the family. There's only people of that bloodline that can wield the sword. The sword is very strong. It can cut through a lot of things. The only thing that counters it is magic, which is all these other sorcerers are in place. So he's kind of
That's him
useless
killing a
against some of these sorcerers.
venomized character there.
But yes, he is strong. But once again, not sure where they're going, what route they're going with this character, because he's not a major character. He is a cool character. He's not a major character. There's other characters I would have liked to see them introduce, but this is what we got so far. You also have all the Eternals. All the Eternals are just running around right now. There's some movies that happened since the Eternals, and none of those movies really mention them. They're just alive and well. There's a giant celestial that's sticking out of the planet right now, and that happened at the end of the
They can
celestial
just
movie
leave
too.
it.
Yeah, I
They
guess
can
they're
just
just
leave it.
leaving. They're just leaving this head and hand that's coming out of an ocean that's just there. I don't know.
Let's forget about the Eternals.
I don't know what's going
That
on
never
there.
happened.
So that's kind of what's going on. Coming up next, we have Blade, who's having a standalone movie, who's played by Marshall. I forgot the guy's last name. An
Marshall
awesome,
Ali.
Yep, an awesome actor. I love this cast. He looks like a young Wesley Snipes, so I'm very happy about it. I heard from the grapevine that he got the original script and kind of freaked out a little bit and said, "I'm not going to do that movie if it's not like this. So I need to rewrite." So I'm glad that he's anal about the character, and
It was
Wesley
PG
Snipes
13.
and
It
yeah,
had no
Wesley
fight
Snipes was a
scenes.
part of it. Yeah, Wesley Snipes was a part of it too, and he's like, I back this kid, which is really cool. That there's an interview that Wesley Snipes had. He was talking about Marshall, and he was like, it was literally like looking at a young me. Like, I couldn't have think of anyone better that they could have casted this for. So I'm really happy about that. I love Blade. Blade is awesome, and I love the darker side of Marvel and a lot of these characters, which introduces my next favorite, which is Ghost Rider. Sean mentioned before, Ghost Rider's technically in Shield, which is, I guess, canon for the MCU because Disney
The
accepted it.
TV
So
show, right? Shield.
yeah, Shield, the
Yeah.
TV show that was.
When did that air?
It was on for like 3 or 4 years. I watched it. It
Yeah,
wasn't.
but where was it? Was it a Netflix show? I can't remember.
No. It was on TV. I don't know. I don't know what channel or network it was on,
I can't
but
remember.
Ghost Rider's in it. I don't know if he's gonna come. If he does come, Ghost Rider is an awesome character. I would love to see him in the MCU. And if he's in the MCU, then Mephisto's in the MCU because they go hand in hand. I would love to see Ghost Rider have a cameo in Blade. That'd be cool because that'd be a way, because like they're in the darker side of MCU. Blade can go through some weird stuff. He can go through some symbiote stuff if he wants, or they can do the vampire thing too. I'm cool with all of that. Whatever villain they choose, I hope it's a good one, and I hope they do a cool cameo with Ghost Rider and bring him in. That'd be awesome. We still have Scarlet Witch out there. We have Wanda out there. They didn't show her technically dying in Doctor Strange 2. It's all a question mark what she is. I can't imagine them killing her off. She's too strong and she's too much a part of the original the last phase. So I don't think that they're going to kill her. I just don't know. I just don't think they know where to do with her yet. I don't think they know where the character should be. So they kind of left it on a cliffhanger so they can decide later on.
Yeah, she's also super powerful too. So it's like they need to kind of put her somewhere, because like if they have her in this phase right now where it's like kind of like some lower power levels, it takes all the stakes away. That's the same reason why they fridged, Captain Marvel for a little bit too.
They put her on the chiller. Then we also have another big character who's in still, and we have no idea what's happening with him, is White Vision. White Vision is out there. He was in the middle of WandaVision, and then in the middle of WandaVision, in the middle of the TV show, I think it was the last or second to last episode, man just says, screw this town, I'm out, and just flies away and is gone. Now he's flying around in the universe. I don't know if he's on Earth. I don't know where he is. He has all the memories of Vision, but he's not going to be the same Vision. He has the memories. Think of it like almost like a robot. Jarvis Tech or Vision technically was one too, but he developed feelings over time with his physical body. Now think of White Vision as like a Terminator that just got to download all the thoughts and everything that Vision was, but that doesn't mean that he's going to be Vision. He just understands what Vision was and what he was going through. So I don't know what they're doing with that character. It could be anything. He could be anything. So I don't know.
I really like to think that what they'll end up doing with White Vision is that, now that he has all of the memories and he knows what happened to him via Thanos, I like to think that he's going to figure out time travel and just go back to where Thanos is like run down and like, not super strong. And he just goes back and just beats the shit out of Thanos over and over again. He's like, you did what to my fucking forehead? And just beats his ass.
You blew up my head. Yeah, that would be funny.
Fucking took my peanut out of my forehead.
That was my yellow peanut. We also have Agatha that's out there. She's gonna have her own TV series. Not quite sure what the point of this character is. Once again, I'm gonna go back to my theory of thinking that they have all these sorcerers or enchantresses or whatever you want to call them. I say sorcerers. You have all of them starting to come in and having key roles. I'm assuming it's all going to be to battle Doctor Doom, because magic versus magic, I would assume, is going to be like a very big play. I'm not sure. I don't know why Agatha is getting her own TV series. She's not anything crazy. I mean, I feel like there's other, like if they were going to give someone a TV show, it should have been the character like Black Knight or Star Fox and Pip. So you get some sort of background information. I feel like we kind of got enough of Agatha. We kind of got enough of her in WandaVision. I know what she is. I know what she's about. I don't know if I need a whole 6-episode series on her.
I don't know who even asked for this show, but I would like a refund, and I haven't seen it.
I mean, maybe this is a way for them to introduce Mephisto, maybe, because she's a worshiper, so maybe that's it. I don't know.
I'm not gonna lie. So when they made like WandaVision, for example, I mean, essentially it's a show about a girl whose vibrator broke. But I loved it.
She was very upset.
I loved it. I still loved it. I thought it was really good. I wasn't super down with the way it ended, with the boner guy, the guy's name being Boner, and them baiting with Mephisto. Like, wasn't super about that. But I thought it was still good, and I didn't know I was gonna want that either. I didn't think I would want that.
The difference is that the power level,
and, devil's advocate.
Different. Yeah, I mean, I would say I would agree, but
she's also fucking
Scarlet Witch. Yeah, she's Scarlet Witch. Agatha's nothing.
She's literally
nobody. She's just like she's like one of those. She's like one of those side villain characters that you'd have for one episode of like a '90s TV show. Like, she's cast a spell and curse somebody. Scarlet Witch, what are you gonna do? Like that type of villain. Like, she's not like a stop time. Let's deal with this Avengers level threat. So I don't understand.
It's just like
I
in
don't
Star
understand what
Wars
they're
when
gonna
they
do.
made that Andor show that even though everybody says is really good, nobody watched it because who the fuck cares about Andor? Nobody.
Yeah,
No
yeah,
one's gonna watch Agatha either.
and then the same thing goes for the other girl who's uh Carol Danvers' friend, the girl that got blasted. I forgot her. It's like Rosham
Maria Rambeau.
Maria Rambeau. She's a hero too because she got
Hmm.
blasted. She's gonna have powers. I don't know what they're gonna do with her.
And no one wants her to be in anything either because she's annoying. Well, she's
She's
gonna be
gonna
in the
be in the new
Marvels.
Captain. Yeah, she's gonna be in the new Captain Marvel movie.
Yeah, which nobody wants to
So
see that either. So I don't.
yeah, I'm not too excited about that. And then the other one, this is another big one that I just thought of that's still technically out there, which is another villain that is very, very cool that was kind of done dirty, which is Ultron. Ultron,
Bring him back.
Ultron technically, like when they showed like the last scene of
He was walking off
Avengers
in the
Age of
background.
Ultron, they show away and they just show Vision like as if he just beamed this robot that Ultron was supposedly trapped in. The thing with Ultron is that Ultron, once he's in the internet, like he's another
He's
character. Like
everywhere.
unless there's an EMP that goes off and and the internet goes down forever, he's in the internet right now. So he's technically should still be alive, and
He's
he's
literally
very
on the hub
strong.
right now, boys.
And yeah, and he's very strong, and he is a big part of some of these series that they're trying to do. So I would be interested to see if they ever bring that back to life. So
I would
we have a
love
good
to see
amount of
Ultron come back.
we have a good amount of characters that are out there right now that are in the MCU that are still alive or haven't been shown that they're dead.
And
On top of the ones that have cameos that we have no idea what they're going to do. I know that they have to make up for some of the heroes from the original Avengers crew that kind of are retiring out of movies for like the Tony Starks, the Chris Hemsworths, the Chris Evans, like stuff like that. So I have to fill the void. I get that. But some of these heroes, they're not the heroes that fill that void.
no, they're not. Like Black
important
Knight
enough.
isn't going to replace Thor.
They're not important enough to be able to hold the back of the MCU. So it's very interesting to me that they chose these characters and why. I'm really hoping that the next couple of movies, like the next 4 movies that they do before, I think it's 3 or 4 movies they do before King Dynasty, that they actually introduce some characters that have some meat, and like have like actual backstory, actual value, versus like some of these side characters that just join the Avengers on some missions. Like you know what I mean. But that's kind of where I'm at with that stuff. I'm excited to see where it goes, but I'm also very nervous because I don't know where it's going to go.
I'm not really happy with where the MCU is right now. And I'm a huge, obviously, to even want to start a podcast about this kind of thing and spend hours on end talking about it with your friends. Like, obviously we're fans of this shit, but I'm not gonna pull any punches either. Like I'm always gonna be honest with what I think. And right now,
I'm gonna be like
MCU's,
I'm a huge fan, and I'm always
MCU's just not in a good place right now. However, I think after like talking through some of these things, I think it's pretty clear to me that I'm still very excited for what could be the future. I am very nervous because it's going to be very easily fucked up if they decide to go a different route or
don't get me wrong
things. But
if even if Marvel drops 5 terrible movies, I'm still buying tickets to the next movie. That's how addicted I am to this. Like look at Star Wars. Star Wars could drop another movie tomorrow and I'd go see it even though I know it's going to be horrendous. I'm still going to go watch it.
Ryan, I'm not. No,
I'm still going to go watch it.
We can't talk about Star Wars.
We can't do it right now, but just as an analogy, I would go watch that too. But
I would not go watch it.
I am very nervous to see where they go with this. We'll see. I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt. It's up to them. I think that there's a lot of weird heroes that they chose. I hope that there's a lot of new heroes that they choose to go over these. I hope the X-Men had to introduce a lot of characters and those characters become main. Fantastic Four, I'm very excited for. And I'm very interested to see what route they go for that as far as what villain they choose. I think that would be a big indication because, like once I've said before, in standalone movies, the heroes when they first get introduced for their origin story, depending on who they go up against and how that battle goes, creates a canon power scale for those characters. So that's very important to me, and I hope that they have a good enough opponent to make them at least go through some trials and tribulations and have to come up with some power spikes for themselves. So when Kang Dynasty comes, it's not like, oh, well, why are they able to do this now? It's like just given powers overnight. So we'll see.
Yeah.
We shall see.
Well, with all that said, I think we can bring this one to a close. We want to thank you guys for listening, watching, however you're consuming us. You know, this is a longer one. Hour and 40 minutes is where we're at right now. So hope you had a nice long drive to crank this one out to. This one out to? I don't know if that's the right terminology. We're going to, you know, I'm not going to edit that out, but maybe don't crank it out to us.
Especially while you're driving.
Certainly not while you're driving. As we mentioned before, seatbelt should be on, both hands on the steering wheel, 10 and 12.
10 and 2.
10 and 2, 10 and 12. 10 and 12 doesn't make a whole lot of sense, does it? Anyway, why don't you guys do us a favor? I know Ryan and I are super curious. What do you guys think of the MCU right now? Where do you think the MCU is going? And what are the characters you're looking forward to most seeing introduced? Let us know in the comments below. And follow us on all of our socials. Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, obviously. You know, don't forget to like, comment, subscribe for the boys so we can quit our jobs.
Naturally.
And then look out for our after show poll. Not 100% sure what that poll is going to be yet, but by the time you watch this, you will see the poll.
You'll see a
poll. We're gonna show you our poll.
Yep, there's going to be a poll. It might be multiple.
At least one poll. You're going to see at least one poll across your feed after this show.
Yes.
No way around it. So thank you guys again, and we will see you in the next one.